The desert has no mercy. It burns, it buries, it swallows everything that is not strong enough to survive. This was his home. This was his nature. But every night, when the sun died and the world went dark, it was this same God who stood alone at the front of Ra's boat, spear in hand, and fought the great serpent that wanted to swallow the sun forever. Without him, morning would never come. And nobody thanked him. His name was Set, and this is his story. Stay with me, because today we are going to learn English together through one of the most complicated stories ever told. You already know Set as the villain. You watched him destroy Osiris. You watched him fight Horus for 80 years and lose. But a villain is not born from nothing. So today, we go back to the beginning and we ask a different question. Who was Set really? Set was the god of the desert, of storms, of chaos, of things that cannot be controlled. He was the brother of Osiris, Horus the Elder, Isis, and Nephthys. And for a long time, he was one of the most powerful and respected gods in all of Egypt. He was enormous and loud and restless, like a sandstorm that never fully stops. Where Osiris was calm and orderly, Set was unpredictable. Where Osiris brought green fields and gentle floods, Set brought the burning desert and the roaring wind. But here is what most people forget. Egypt needed both. The desert protected Egypt from its enemies. The storms brought fear that kept invaders away. And every single night, when the sun god Ra sailed his boat through the darkness of the underworld, it was Set who stood at the front of that boat, spear in hand, and fought off Apophis. Apophis was the great serpent of chaos, who tried to swallow the sun and end the world forever. Without Set, the sun would never rise. Without Set, there would be no morning. Set was a protector, and he was necessary. He knew it. But knowing your own worth and feeling seen are two very different things. When Osiris became king of Egypt, the world celebrated. The people loved Osiris. The gods honored him. And Set watched his brother receive everything: the crown, the love, the glory, and felt something dark begin to grow inside him. Not just jealousy, something older and heavier than that. The feeling that no matter what he did, he would never be enough. Set organized a great feast and invited his brother Osiris. At the most exciting moment of the evening, 4 servants carried a beautiful chest into the hall, made of the finest cedar wood and covered in gold. They set it down in the center of the room. Set smiled. "A gift," he said, "for whoever fits inside perfectly." One by one, the gods tried. No one fit. Then Osiris stepped in, and the chest fit him exactly, because Set had built it that way. Before Osiris could move, Set closed the lid, sealed it shut, and threw it into the Nile. Osiris was gone, and Set took the throne of Egypt. For a time, Set ruled, and he was not without skill. Egypt did not fall apart. The borders held. The enemies stayed away. But the land felt wrong under his rule, like a desert where rain used to fall. The people could feel it. Something that should have been there was missing. Then came Horus, the son of Osiris, grown up in the marshes, trained and patient, and full of his mother's fire. And when Horus stood before the court of the gods and said the throne belonged to him, Set looked at this young man and felt something he had perhaps never felt before: fear. Not the fear of losing a fight, the fear of being proven in front of everyone that he had been wrong, that what he had done could not be justified. That chaos, in the end, cannot win against order. The contests were brutal. Set fought with everything he had. He cheated, he lied, he hit without warning, and fought without honor. And still, Horus stood back up every time. Still, the gods leaned further and further toward the boy from the marshes. When the letter came from Osiris, from the underworld, from the king he himself had killed, and the gods read it aloud in the great hall, Set said nothing. He stood still for a long moment. And then he stepped down from the throne. Some stories say the gods punished him after that. Others say Ra himself kept Set close, still needed on the solar boat, still fighting Apophis in the dark every night. Because the world still needed storms. The world still needed the desert wind and the force that pushes back against the darkness. It just could not have Set as its king. And perhaps that is the most human thing about him. Set was not useless. He was not without purpose. He simply could not accept the place he was given. He wanted more. And in wanting more, he lost everything. The ancient Egyptians did not erase Set from their temples. They kept him. They feared him and honored him at the same time. Because chaos is not something you destroy. It is something you learn to live beside. Set never stopped fighting the serpent in the dark. Night after night, while Egypt slept, he stood at the front of Ra's boat and did the one job that never ended and never received applause. Maybe that is the saddest thing about him. And maybe, in some small way, the most heroic. And that is the story of Set. But before you go, let me see how well you were listening. I have 5 questions for you. What was Set the god of? A, the sea, the rain, and the harvest. B, the desert, storms, and chaos. C, the moon, wisdom, and writing. B is correct. Set was the god of the desert, storms, and chaos. These are wild and destructive forces, but as we learn today, Egypt needed them too. What did Set do every night on Ra's solar boat? A, he lit the way through the darkness. B, he sang to keep Ra awake. C, he fought Apophis, the great serpent, to protect the sun. Well done if you said C. Every single night, Set stood at the front of Ra's boat with his spear and fought the serpent that wanted to swallow the sun. Without him, morning would never come. How did Set trick Osiris at the feast? A, he put poison in Osiris's wine. B, he built a chest that fit only Osiris, then sealed him inside it. C, he challenged Osiris to a battle he could not win. That is B. Set built the chest to fit Osiris exactly and presented it as a game. It looked like a gift. It was a trap. Why did the gods keep Set even after Horus became king? A, because Set threatened to destroy Egypt if they did not. B, because Ra still needed Set to fight Apophis in the dark every night. C, because Set promised never to cause trouble again. If you said B, you are exactly right. Even after everything Set had done, the world still needed him. the darkness still came every night, and someone had to stand against it. What is the lesson the ancient Egyptians taught by keeping Set in their temples? A. That villains should always be forgiven. B. That chaos is something you learn to live beside, not something you destroy. C. That Set was secretly good all along. That is B. The Egyptians were wise enough to understand that chaos is part of life. You cannot erase it. You learn to live with it, manage it, and keep it in its right place. So how did you do? Set is one of those stories that stays with you, I think. Because he is not simple. He is not just a monster. He is someone who had real power, a real place in the world, and could not find peace with it. And that is something very human. If you want more stories like this, come back. I will see you in the next one.